All right, welcome to Study Hall, and get ready for Art Explored. We're diving deep into the world of famous paintings, unearthing their origins and all those juicy historical bits surrounding them.
hmm
Today, we're tackling a painting that's, well, a bit of a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Oh.
It's René Magritte's The Evening Gown, painted back in 1954.
Oh, I love Magritte.
Are you ready to uncover some fascinating details about this piece? I know I am.
Absolutely. It's like stepping into a time machine, right? We're not just looking at brushstrokes. We're looking at a snapshot of history, a glimpse into the mind of an artist who really dared to challenge the way we see the world.
Yeah, and speaking of challenging perceptions, when I first saw The Evening Gown, I was struck by this feeling of stillness, this intense feeling of stillness. The way Magritte paints this scene, it's like he hit the pause button on reality, leaving us with this lone figure,
Yeah.
is lost in contemplation. What about you? What was your initial reaction to this piece?
It's funny. I actually felt a sense of unease, a slight creepiness even. And it's the figure's anonymity, that hidden face, that really gets under my skin. It's like Magritte is deliberately withholding something from us, forcing us to confront the unknown.
That is such a great observation, and it's so typical of Magritte's style. He loved playing with perception, blurring the lines between what's real and what's imagined.
Exactly. He was a master at taking ordinary things, like an apple or a pipe, and twisting them just enough to make them seem strange and unsettling. Do you remember his famous painting of a pipe with the caption, "This is not a pipe"?
Oh yes, pure genius.
Pure genius.
Yeah, that one always makes my brain do a backflip.
Mine too.
But let's get back to The Evening Gown and break down what we're actually seeing here. We have this lone figure standing on what looks like a rocky coastline with the ocean stretching out behind her like an endless blue abyss.
And check out that crescent moon hanging in the sky.
Oh yeah,
It's like a tiny sliver of light illuminating this otherwise dusky scene.
it's giving me major dream vibes.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Magritte was a key figure in the Surrealist movement. A group of artists obsessed with bridging the gap between dreams and reality.
Oh, think melting clocks, lobster phones, all that wild stuff.
I love it.
The Surrealist wanted to tap into the subconscious, to explore the hidden world of dreams and desires.
Yeah.
And they were doing this in the aftermath of World War I, a time when the world was reeling from unimaginable trauma and disillusionment.
So it's like their art was a reflection of the chaos and uncertainty of the times. They were searching for new ways to express what everyone was feeling but couldn't quite articulate.
Precisely. And Magritte, in particular, had this uncanny ability to make you question everything you thought you knew about reality. And he did it with such a subtle, almost understated style.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about the mysterious vibe and the historical context.
Yeah.
Now let's zoom in on the symbols that Magritte uses in The Evening Gown. Let's start with the figure herself. What do you make of her?
Well, her anonymity is key, wouldn't you say? It's like she's a blank slate, a vessel for our own projections and interpretations.
I totally agree, and that's what makes this painting so intriguing. We're forced to fill in the blanks, to come up with our own stories about who she is and what she's thinking.
Right. Some see her as representing introspection, like a journey into the self.
Mm.
Others view her as someone facing a major life change, perhaps even a loss of identity.
Mm. Both interesting interpretations.
Yeah.
What about the evening gown itself? What significance do you think that holds?
Well, an evening gown is typically associated with transformation, with stepping into a new role or persona. It's often worn for special occasions, marking a transition from the everyday to something more extraordinary.
So maybe she's on the cusp of a major shift in her life, preparing to embrace the unknown.
Possibly. And that leads us to the ocean, which stretches out before her like a vast, uncharted territory.
It's both alluring and terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of like life itself.
Exactly. The ocean can be seen as a metaphor for the depths of our own minds, the vastness of existence itself, all those things that we can't fully comprehend.
And what about that crescent moon? It feels so symbolic, almost like a secret code that Magritte is trying to convey.
The moon is often associated with dreams, intuition, and the subconscious. It's also linked to cycles, to change, to the ebb and flow of life.
So maybe in this context, it represents the figure's connection to her inner world, her dreams, and the potential for transformation that lies ahead.
It's like she's standing at a crossroads, bathed in the mystical light of the moon, ready to embark on a new chapter. What do you think? Does that resonate with you at all?
It totally does. And speaking of details that resonate, I'm fascinated by her long flowing hair. It almost seems to have a life of its own, cascading down her back and blending into the landscape.
Well, hair is often seen as a symbol of freedom, vitality, and a connection to nature.
So maybe it represents her primal instincts, her connection to something deeper than herself?
Perhaps it's a reminder that even as we navigate the complexities of life, we're still part of something bigger, something ancient and wild.
I love that. Now, before we move on, I want to take a moment to appreciate Magritte's technique. Because for me, the way he paints this scene is just as captivating as the subject matter itself.
Oh, what specifically catches your eye?
It's the smoothness, the almost photographic quality of the brushstrokes. It's like he's trying to create a hyper-realistic image, even though the scene itself is so surreal.
You're absolutely right. That's one of the things that makes Magritte so brilliant. He uses this meticulous, almost academic style to depict these dreamlike, fantastical scenes. It's like he's saying, look, this is a painting, a carefully constructed illusion, but at the same time, it's a portal to another world, a glimpse into the realm of the subconscious.
And speaking of portals to other worlds, let's step back for a moment and consider the bigger picture. Where does the evening gown fit into Magritte's overall body of work? What kind of impact did his unique style have on the art world?
Now that's a question worthy of a deep dive all on its own.
It really is,
Yeah.
but we'll save that for another time.
We will.
Yeah.
Magritte's impact was huge, like a ripple effect that went far beyond his own time. He was a trailblazer paving the way for movements like pop art and conceptual art.
You know, when you mention pop art, I can totally see the connection. Think Andy Warhol's soup cans.
Hmm?
Taking everyday objects and making them into art. Magritte was already playing with that idea decades earlier.
That's spot on. He challenged the way we see the world, blurring those lines between reality and representation. And it wasn't just about the objects themselves, but how he presented them. That smooth, almost photographic style he used in the evening gown, it almost foreshadowed those later movements.
Right. It's like he's playing a trick on our eyes,
Yeah.
making us question what's real and what's an illusion.
She was a visual philosopher, using his art to make us think about big ideas, and it worked. Magritte's images went beyond galleries. They popped up in advertising, film, music. He became a cultural icon.
Okay, back to the evening gown. We've talked about the mysterious figure, the historical context, and Magritte's overall impact. But what about the meaning behind it all? What do you think he was trying to say with this painting?
Well, like we've been discussing, Magritte loved to play with hidden meanings. He wasn't one to spell things out for you. But if we dig a little deeper, I think we can uncover some fascinating insights.
All right, let's put on our detective hats. What clues do we have?
Remember how we talked about the ocean as a symbol of the unknown? Well, think about this. Magritte's life was marked by tragedy, specifically the drowning death of his mother when he was young, and she was found with her face obscured, a recurring theme in his work.
Whoa, I didn't know that about his mother. So you're saying the ocean could represent something deeper, something connected to his personal experiences.
Exactly. It's not just a pretty seascape. It's layered with meaning, perhaps reflecting those hidden depths of grief and loss. And that figure standing at the edge could be seen as someone confronting those very emotions.
That adds a whole new layer to the painting, doesn't it? Suddenly it feels much more personal, almost like we're getting a glimpse into Magritte's own emotional landscape.
Exactly. And that's what makes art so powerful. It can connect us to the artist on a deeper level, allowing us to experience the world through their eyes, even if it's just for a moment.
Okay, I'm hooked. What else can we unpack?
Let's look at the twilight setting. Twilight is this in-between space, the transition from day to night where things aren't quite clear, a bit mysterious.
It's like that feeling you get right before you fall asleep, when your mind starts to wander and things get a little hazy.
Yes, and for the surrealists, that liminal space was key. It's where the conscious and subconscious mind meet, where logic and dreams intertwine.
So the evening gown could be about that blurring of boundaries, that
Yeah.
space where reality and imagination collide.
Absolutely. Magritte is inviting us to question our perceptions, to consider the possibility that what we see might not be the whole story. There might be hidden meanings, secret desires lurking beneath the surface.
Mind blown. I never thought about Twilight in that way before.
See, art is all about opening up new ways of seeing the world. And Magritte was a master at that.
Okay, we've covered a lot of symbolic ground here. But before we get too lost in the theoretical weeds, I want to bring it back to the listener. What can we learn from the evening gown? And how can we apply those insights to our own lives?
That's a great question. I think at its core, this painting reminds us to embrace the unknown, to be comfortable with mystery, We live in a world that's obsessed with answers, with defining and categorizing everything. But sometimes the most beautiful things are those that we can't fully explain.
It's like he's saying, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to not have all the answers. Embrace the journey, even if you don't know where it's going to lead.
Exactly. And it's also a reminder that beauty can be found in the everyday, in the seemingly mundane amaxes. Magritte took simple objects, a pipe, an apple, an evening gown, and transformed them into something extraordinary, something thought-provoking. He showed us that art doesn't have to be grand or epic to be powerful.
It's all about perspective, isn't it? Seeing the world through fresh eyes, finding the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Precisely. And the evening gown is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, it makes you realize that art isn't just about, pretty pictures.
Yeah.
It's about ideas,
Yeah.
emotions, making us feel something, think something, question something. And Magritte was a master at sparking those reactions in his viewers.
He really was. And with a piece like the evening gown, where so much is left open to interpretation, it becomes this collaborative experience between the artist and the viewer. Magritte gives us the framework, the visual cues, but it's up to us to complete the picture, to bring our own experiences and emotions to the canvas.
It's like he's giving us a puzzle but left out a few pieces.
Yeah.
And it's our job to figure out what they are and how they fit into the larger picture.
Right. And there's no right or wrong answer, which is what makes it so exciting.
Exactly.
Everyone who looks at the evening gown is going to see something different, feel something different. It's a deeply personal experience.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the evening gown, I want to leave you with a little challenge. Imagine you could step into this painting, stand beside that mysterious figure, and ask her one question. What would it be? What would you want to know about her story, her thoughts, her dreams?
Ooh, that's a good one. It really encourages us to engage with the painting on a deeper level, to go beyond just observing and try to understand what might be going on in her mind.
Right. Maybe you'd ask her what she's looking at, what she's contemplating as she gazes out at that endless ocean. Or perhaps you'd inquire about the significance of that evening gown, what transformation it represents for her.
Or maybe you would just ask her name, trying to break through that anonymity and connect with her on a more personal level.
The possibilities are endless. And that's the beauty of art. It sparks our imaginations, makes us think, makes us feel. And even after we've moved on to other things, those thoughts and feelings linger, shaping the way we see the world around us.
So true. The next time you encounter a piece of art that intrigues you, I encourage you to take a moment to really look at it. Think about it. Let it speak to you. You might be surprised by what you discover.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the evening gown. We hope you enjoyed exploring this enigmatic masterpiece with us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep your eyes open to the beauty and wonder that surrounds us.